Just hoping that y'all can hear me. I hope y'all can hear me. Once again, if you do not know by now, I am your host, Marcus Flowers, a.k.a. Flo, a.k.a. Flo's my hero, and I am joined by my co-host.
Y'all know who it is, he who shall not be named, he who stands above all the rest, he who shall rise above Metro Meta.
And we are here for Volume 2, Episode 31 of the Super Flow Bros podcast. And I must say, this may be on me, but I feel like we have been in Volume 2 forever.
Yeah, I definitely feel like...
I feel like we have been in Volume 2 for the longest.
I feel like we've definitely been here for a year.
Yeah, so...
We definitely need to change volume soon.
So yeah, no, this is actually the last one of Volume 2 of the Super Flow Bros podcast. But once again, before we get into any of our topics, of course, Meta, how are you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. Things are looking a little bit better, especially on all the job fronts and all of that. And it's a lot of waiting and a lot of money to get into this education game, but it's gonna work out in the end.
That's dope. What have you seen that meme that says if you are not working on a new skill during this pandemic, you are wasting your time?
I mean, that's dumb. That's dumb American thinking right there.
Have you tried to learn a new skill during this pandemic?
I mean, I did a little bit of coding. I bought some coding books, and I've been working on that a bit.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm good at it or even just can do it. It's just something I was doing.
Okay. So what do you plan to do with the coding?
Right now, it's just trying to see if I can actually do it.
You know, I actually took AP Computer Science my senior year of high school, and that was when I didn't know what I wanted my major to be, and I thought maybe computer science was it. And we had this program, I forgot what it was, but when you entered the code, it had to be precise for it to work, and if it didn't work, you would get errors all over it, and so. I kept getting error, and I was like, this probably is not for me.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I have been having to figure out some things. There's definitely times where I'll copy like code from the book. It doesn't work, and then I have to download the internet version, and I'm like, okay, now I'm looking at the tool like, what's the difference? And it's like, oh, you forgot to put a semicolon right here, and now we're just not going to work.
Right.
So it definitely is very different.
Those darn semicolons.
It's very different for me, but, I just wanted to be a bit more spread out and just to learn it because I like video games and technology so much. So just learn a little bit more about how it works.
Okay. That's dope.
What about you?
For me, I've actually been working on my video editing skills and trying to get better with video editing because I'm trying to not enter a new career, but enter a new phase where I'm doing more video editing, and I'm a producer now, but I'm producing more when it just comes to content. So that's where I'm headed. Also, in other news, it's my girlfriend's birthday in 2 weeks, so I'm super excited about that. We're just going real big, so I'm like super excited about that. It's a week away. But yeah, other than that, it's just chilling, trying to maintain. I'm really surprised that people are actually outside now.
Yeah, outside is canceled.
It's very weird because I guess I just from my perspective, this is just how I've looked at it, and when I see people outside, it's like it feels like they haven't really experienced loss yet, or they haven't experienced like being in a life in dangerous situation where their life is at risk. And so by them just going outside and going to the bars and going to brunch, it's kind of like, okay, like I see what you're doing, but it's like I wish you had a little more caution with what you do, and I wish you were wearing a mask. And it's just like people are just outside, they're drinking, they're not wearing masks, they are It's just crazy. It's basically just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that is made things crazier is just how people are talking online.
Right.
When all of a sudden, all the like spam accounts were just like, "Oh, masks do absolutely nothing," and we don't believe the CDC or science, and so this pandemic is over now. And it's just like,
that's crazy.
So people are still dying from this, and they're like, "Well, no," and I'm just like, okay.
Right.
And for me, I think the problem, like, for me, the silly thing is, it's all because, we want the economy back. It's just like,
yes, and if you've been checking, just like, we're gonna get in more to this later in the pod, but COVID cases are actually rising. So like, they're rising in Colorado, they're rising in LA, they're rising in Florida. Actually, Florida is now the new epicenter of the world of COVID. And it's just like, we didn't take this seriously enough. And even when we did shut down, we weren't normally shut down. And what typically is supposed to happen during a shutdown, when we shut down, it's supposed to be up to the government to put the proper protocols in place so that we can open safely. And that wasn't done. And my biggest fear is we're still in the first wave of this. And mixing it with like flu season and cold season, coming up, that's going to be it's going to be a deadly combination.
Yeah, it's just, this isn't gonna end. This isn't gonna end anytime soon.
Yep. And I will say, if Biden beats Trump, and gets us back outside safely, he may go down as top 5 best presidents ever.
And it wouldn't even, like, the craziest thing is he wouldn't even have to do that much. All he would have to do is walk around, wear a mask, shut down the states and tell them to stay shut long enough for us to go clean. And he basically has an entire layout of how to openly open the country with how well other countries have been handling it.
Right. And I think that's crazy too, just how, like, we're just doing this on our, like, nationalism is a good thing, but like, it's a bad thing as well. It's super bad when you're just like, our way or the hard way, but when your hard way has resulted in the death of over 100,000 people, maybe you should reassess and look at like what New Zealand's doing, look what England's doing, look what Italy did, and it's just like, we're not doing that. So
nationalism is definitely holding us back.
Yeah, sure. No, for sure. And not only is it holding us back, we're seeing like the end of just whiteness, and I don't want to say the end of whiteness. No, that's wrong. The end of just like, well, the white hierarchy, where where they're the majority in charge, and we're like, of course, while minorities are getting more power, many who have strung to that old guard are starting to be like, oh wow, this is not what we want, and so they rebel, and we're seeing that right now, and it's like culminating, and we're almost at a fever pitch.
I definitely see, like, there's definitely a paradigm shift in how certain things are being seen and how the community is being heard. I don't know if that's going to change or if that's going to stay the same, but I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sorry, we didn't mean to get too deep like that for the intro. That was Marcus. That was, once again, if you don't know already, Super Flow Bros Podcast, Flow's my hero, Metro Meta, and we're here. This is proof. The Kardashian curse is real. We've seen it with
Bill Burr.
We've seen it with Lamar Odom. We've seen it with Kanye West.
Lamar Odom was
We've
crazy.
seen it with James Harden. We've seen it with Tristan Thompson. And now we've seen it with Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez. So, if you are new to this, click that link. If you are new to this, recently Tory Lanez got arrested with...
Hold up, before we get into this, I'm sick and tired of rappers getting arrested on gun charges.
Okay, but the thing is, I believe Tory Lanez has his gun license.
I get that. I'm just saying for future proof of every single rapper, if you get caught on gun charges, I'm not backing you. This has happened way too many times. You're a millionaire and you have a staff.
See, but I think this is, well, okay. We're in a pandemic, so people aren't gonna have their typical staff with them. But they're not gonna have their security. Like they're not. Well, we're in a pandemic right now, so we can't even do before. But we are in a pandemic right now. People's lives are at stake. So of course, rapper of Tory Lanez stature, who's currently not on tour right now. Why would he have an entourage of like 10 people when it's really just him by himself?
Just saying, overall, how many times have we seen rapper gets caught up in gun charges?
Well, and also you have to think in the United States at least, because I believe Tory is a licensed gun holder in Canada, but and I think it translates to a few states in the United States, but it doesn't necessarily translate to California where he got arrested. So I think it's
just walk around.
Well, the thing is the gun went off. So I think that's the biggest issue here. But if you don't know what we're talking about, Houston rapper Meg Thee Stallion said she was intentionally shot in Hollywood Hills. So what was it? Saturday? It was Friday night. Tory Lanez, Meg Thee Stallion, and I think, wasn't it Kylie Jenner? Could you check check that real quick? I think it was Kylie Jenner or Kendall Jenner. I did could just type it. And
type it where?
The search bar. Man. And they were on live together. They were having a good time, and then of course there was a party, and Tory Lanez was in the swimming pool with his do-rag on, which is very peculiar. But
hey man, you gotta keep them weave. That weave, man. You gotta keep it. You gotta keep it safe.
But later that night there was shots fired, and Meg Thee Stallion was shot in the foot. And Tory Lanez was arrested on gun charges. What I will say, well, actually, ooh, snap. We're going to stop the story because we buried the lead. Well, we'll just finish this. But yeah, first, our thoughts and prayers go out to Meg Thee Stallion, hoping for a speedy recovery. Also, prayers go out to Tory Lanez.
I don't see it.
Go out to Tory Lanez just because... well, there was a third female in the vehicle. But our prayers go out to Tory Lanez. Hope he beats this case. Were you surprised when it said that Tory Lanez... Well, it was a joke online that they said Tory Lanez was 5'3", 120 pounds. There's actually... there's this gif when he was on Sway in the Morning. And you know how normally when you stand up out of the seat, you get taller? When he stood up, he did not get taller. But people were clowning him for that. But he is a very successful rapper. But first of all, let's give props to Tory Lanez. Because I can't hate this man too much because he was in the car with Meg Thee Stallion. So that means that he is better than a lot of people because a lot of us could not get Meg Thee Stallion in our car if we prayed on it. So for him to have the gumption to be like, you know what, Meg... Let's get in the car. Let's go for a drive. And for him to even have a gun in the car. So that means he convinced her to get in the car. He was packing. And she probably knew. That is quite the mixture right there.
I mean, I get it.
Why do you get it? Let's hear. Why do you get it?
He's a rapper.
What does that mean?
It means he's a rapper.
Not any rapper can get Meg Thee Stallion in their car.
Yeah, but like he's a rapper. He's cool. They get in the car. Like this whole like height thing when it comes to men and women, I think is really just it's mostly most of a social construct that's in most people's head.
Okay, I will ask you real quick. What is the tallest woman that you've dated?
I've never dated a girl taller than me, but that's not saying much, okay. Marcus.
Okay, I will go. The tallest woman I have dated has been probably 6 feet. Do you want me to bleep that? I can bleep that for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But yeah. So once again, thoughts and prayers go to Tory Lanez. We hope that he fights his case. Praise to Meg Thee Stallion for a speedy recovery. Next up, we have I buried the lead. I was so excited to talk about this Stallion case that I buried the lead talking about the current gun violence in Denver, Colorado. I want to say our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the Mr. Armstrong. I forgot his first name. Here it is.
Yeah, it's just awful how much. I think a lot of it has to do with
Devarius Armstrong, and he was actually trying to protect a young woman from a girl, and the man got angry and shot him. And I think, and then just like myself, I'm a resident of Denver, Colorado, and in the past, I want to say 12 days, there has been 11 shootings and 9 deaths. So, and a lot of the deaths have all been youth. They've all been like under 21. And they've all been, and it's like, it's crazy to think that this happens. Like, I think it's just like, why do you think this has happened? I think it's just like people have been inside for so long.
I think it's a matter of people have been inside. I think there is a large portion of our population that is trying to prove that we need police officers due to the defund the police information. And I just think it's because it's 2020 and this year sucks, okay?
And I also think that a lot of these kids would be at their summer jobs. And those jobs aren't there right now, so they have nothing to do. When your like typical work day is from like 9, when you pick up a work shift from like 9 to 5 or 3 to 9 or 1 to 8, you're usually working, you're usually like getting money. And so when you take that incentive away from youth and you don't give them anything to replace with, add on top of that they've been inside. And like what you said earlier with people just like talking at each other through social media, and it's just like, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it seems like people have been getting very bold online. Mm-hmm. Like people have been very vocal with their opinion online, to the fact that it at times appears as disrespect.
Oh, that's always been there.
I think the difference is now, like, for example, if we're on Instagram together, if we like follow each other on Instagram and you say something crazy to me, it's like, okay, we're in the same city. You tag your location. I can see where you at. I can see the places you visit. I know where you go to school at. And it's just like, okay, we link up then, and that's how we get it done. And we do the DMs, and it's just like, and I feel like there's so much just anger because people are just angry, and they don't have an outlet for it. Like I could be wrong.
I think it's just a matter of the online. People always say like, what you say online doesn't affect you. I think this is that paradigm shift of, now what people are saying online is starting to line up with the actual world. Right. And you're just seeing that backlash of, oh, now I talk trash online, and oh, he actually did pull up, and now he's actually going to put the hands on me.
Right. And on top, it's kind of crazy because if you've been an avid listener of 26 and Glencoe, you know just my thoughts of Denver Mayor Michael Hancock. I have not been a fan of his, but I'm not a fan just because he cheated on his wife, not because of his gentrification, just because I feel like you can't blame gentrification on one person. It takes a village, so it's just like he's not the only one. Albert Brooks isn't the only one. But one thing I found interesting was I was watching a Facebook Live from Brother Jeff, and Brother Jeff, who has been an avid I don't want to call it an antagonist, but a person who was on the opposite end of Mayor Hancock, who's always just been at his head with his decisions, rightfully so. He was on his live and he was like, yo, it's like, and this was right after the death of Mr. Armstrong, and he said it's 12:30, it's after midnight. Do you know where your kids are? And he said the mayor needs to do this, the mayor needs to help us, the mayor needs to about that? The mayor needs to stand up, and it's just like, how can you sit here and criticize a man throughout his like 2-3 terms of his mayorship, and then turn around and ask for help? And it's just like, I know black on black crime isn't real. It's not real. But it's like, you can't sit here and criticize a man and then expect him to immediately drop everything that he's doing in the middle of a pandemic when his city's COVID rates are going up just to help your community. That's not how it works. That's not how any governorship, that's not how any mayorship works. And it's just like, it was like last month when a bunch of black leaders went up to like Dearborn, Colorado, and they discussed what we need to do for the future. And it's like, okay, y'all can talk about what you need to do for the future, but this is at your door now. And when I see you begging the mayor for help, that's like, okay, well, that meeting was a waste of time because y'all clearly didn't talk about everything. Like, if you're from Denver, you know that, okay, summertime, it gets hot out, people don't know how to act. So it's just like, you can't beg for help from a person you criticize. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult for the way things are going. Everybody seems to have their own priorities right now.
And I think the biggest thing, well, what just I've been working on is just like, and I think what you've been working on as well, is just getting our own houses right. Because if our house is right, then whatever comes out of our house will go into society and rightfully produce, and it starts with our relatives and making sure our relatives are right. So I feel like once our relatives are good, and then, because that's just me, when you work on yourself, then I feel like you can work on the community. But we have broken people trying to fix a broken community, and when you're broken, you can't fix something else that's broken.
Okay.
So but once again, if you are out here in these streets, please stay safe. We are still in a pandemic.
And we're going to move on to our next story.
Well, I wasn't... Let me just... Can I just...
We've been on this for like half the podcast, though.
It's only 20 minutes.
It feels like forever.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it
does. Once... just prayers and thoughts to the families that have lost their lives, to the Armstrong family, to all the young men. Please stay safe. If you are a young person out there, please watch your back. Please do not be outside alone. Make sure somebody knows where you are at all times. But next up, this is the breakup that is going to hurt the most in 2020. Migos and QC. So basically, it is a tale as old as time itself. Record label takes advantage of musician. Musician gets mad when they find out they're missing out on millions. Of course, the Migos was really the launching pad of QC, the label.
Who runs QC?
It's Coach K and P, based out of Atlanta. They have like Lil Baby. Their artist Marlo just died. Yep, and the Migos they're suing QC for millions. But it's just a tale as old as time. Like, this has happened before. Unfortunately, it's going to happen again. And I think this issue won't resolve itself until artists truly know their worth.
My thing when it comes to this is we constantly hear, like, rappers all the time. They're talking about, like, how shady the music game is. And overall, it does seem extremely shady. Like, when we listen to even artists who weren't in there, and we listen to people like Iggy Azalea, Zendaya, when she talked about her time in the music industry, and just Drake crying every 5 minutes about somebody who did him wrong in the music industry. And for me, it seems like, as a creative industry, like, they all have their shady elements, they all have their bad stuff. The music industry seems way more cutthroat than any other industry. And to me, the question is it that the people at the top of the music industry are pushing this sort of like post-apocalyptic narrative and really pushing everyone, or is it the nature of the art that they're doing?
What I think is, I just think artists don't truly know their worth, and that just goes on like all fronts. That's like that's not just artists, like that's literally every profession. So it's just like teachers aren't getting their worth, janitors aren't getting their worth, it's just like, really, I don't want to say politicians aren't getting their worth, because they are, but I feel like every person needs to fight for their worth and actually figure out what they're worth, and that's what's most important to just me. Just make it. That's what I'm trying to figure out in life, like to truly fight for your worth and get paid what you're worth. That's really the goal. Like the goal, like my goal isn't to be like the richest or the wealthiest. It's to be paid my worth. And it's just like, if I know I'm worth this much, why am I getting paid this much? It's like, okay, I need to be able to close that gap. And whatever I have to do to get there, I want to get there until I can come to the table and say, okay, if you want me to do this for you, pay me this much amount. Or if you want me to do this for you, pay me this much amount. And because I can back it up with all the work that I've done in the past, and so my pedigree is there as well.
All right.
And so it's just like knowing your worth, knowing your true worth is that should be the true American dream. I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but yeah, once again, Migos QC worst breakup of 2020.
I wouldn't say that. I think it definitely gonna get worse.
Next up, I don't want to call it breakup news. This is kind of old. It happened last week. Did you know Jada Pinkett Smith
is a predator?
Has the most watched Facebook video ever.
That's pretty good for a predator.
It's what? Okay, why do you say Jada Pinkett Smith is a predator?
Because the way from this, let's run this story down. So, what's his name? August and Alsina came out and he said that he had an entanglement with Miss Pinkett Smith, and she went on her Red Table show and started talking about it. And from what they discussed with her husband, the way it worked and the way she laid it out was they found Mr. August and he was in a bad mental space. He was not doing well. Both Will and Jada both said he was not doing well. And they brought him into their house when he's only a few years older than her own children to help him. And then when Jada started feeling like she wasn't happy in her marriage and started to have troubles in her marriage, she had an affair with, or an entanglement with the young August. That to me is a predator. You took someone into your house as someone who was older in a way of helping them, and then you took advantage of them as an older individual.
And did you actually watch the Red Table Talk?
I saw all of it. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that stuck out to me was Jada kept referring to herself as a healer and how she wanted to heal August. But which is wait, hold up, let me finish. And that is a good thing to do if you want to be a healer. But when you mix healing with physical intimacy, things are gonna go awry, and that's what happened here. And it's just like when you're healing somebody, you can't also be physically intimate with them because that's always gonna turn out bad. I know this just from personal experience. It's just when you're down and out and you are going to a person for healing, for help, and that turns into something more, and then when y'all break up, because of course it's gonna happen, you're gonna be stuck, and it's just like and that feeling of completeness, of that feeling of completeness that they gave to you, when they break that off for you, you're gonna feel even worse than what you were when you first arrived, when they first appeared in your life because they added so much value to it.
And here's the other thing is they said, a lot of people said that a lot of his problems was he had abandonment issues.
Right.
She has an entanglement with him. It's over. What does she do immediately after that? Abandons him. They haven't talked in years. How are you a healer? You came in, you fixed him, then you did the exact thing that he came to you for help for.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's just a real crappy situation because, for August, just because it's like, yo, he really, like, opened himself up to her, and I get when you're intimate with a person, and you feel that they are sharing your all with them, you start to imagine a life with them, and you start to imagine a world with them. So and they actually become your world, and you don't really see the red flags that are there, the red flags that are like, yo, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. You need to pay attention, and you're like, no, it's all good. We're gonna be blah 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 blah. And so it's like when those red flags keep coming up and you keep ignoring them, and it's like red flags to Six Flags, and you're riding a roller coaster. When that roller coaster ends, and you're done. And that's what happened with August. And so, in the Red Table Talk, Will and Jada said this happened years ago. And it's like, okay, it happened years ago, but for him, that probably feels like yesterday because of the impact that she had in his life.
Yeah, it's just, I said it before, if this was anyone else, they would be getting dragged through the mud on Twitter.
If roles were reversed, I feel like they'd be getting dragged.
If we had found out that Will had an entanglement with a younger artist that he was supposedly trying to help, Twitter would have a freaking meltdown.
And yeah, and it's very weird that Will just looked tired throughout the whole thing. He was like, Will had that face like, I told you not to do this and you did it anyway.
I feel like
now we're here dealing with your crap.
I feel like Will had gotten over this, and he was just upset that now he has to address this again.
And it's like, Will was like, you know what? We've dealt with this before. But because you wanted to mess with the person who was broken, we are now here again because you wanted to step outside of your boundaries and do something stupid.
Yeah. Let's go to our next story.
Wait. Hold up. Let me hold up. Go to YouTube real quick.
I wouldn't advise you to.
This has actually
been crashing my computer lately.
This is actually we have the perfect song for this. Play
you can't play music.
Ran on the Plug at a low volume.
We're still gonna get caught, Marcus.
At a very low volume.
Oh my gosh. That doesn't really do anything.
Alright.
This one?
Yes. Okay, we are waiting for this. Ain't no mixtape. Okay, just skip to the... Just type... more... Right, so... If you hear that music, run off the plug. Click on that story. The Verge story. So
I can't keep YouTube open. It's been crashing my computer.
Okay, so close that. But so what do Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Apple have in common? Bitcoin scams. So the Twitter accounts of major companies and individuals have been compromised as one of the most widespread and confounding hacks the platform has ever seen, all in service of promoting a Bitcoin scam that appears to be earning its creator quite a bit of money. So we don't know what the heck was, but so Jack said something, but it doesn't matter. because Jack is she's kind of trash. But Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and it says the statement was hey, help me, blah blah blah, send bitcoins to this. Oh, it goes, feeling grateful, doubling all payments sent to my BTC address. You send $1,000, I send back $2,000. Only doing this for the next 30 minutes. And last I checked, which was about an hour ago, this account had about $150,000.
And nobody's getting their money back.
And it's crazy because with Bitcoin, it's really no tracing. Mm-hmm. So it's like you sit. It's kind of like, I don't. Would you describe it as email? No, it wouldn't be email. Because
blockchain, the way it works is everybody who has it has sort of a record of it.
Right.
So it's a chain. So if I make a transaction, that transaction gets sent to everybody in the chain, but not everybody in the chain is notified of who that transaction is going on with. They just know who has it.
Right. And it's just like, you're not getting your money back because you can't contact that account anymore.
You can't contact that account, and Bitcoin doesn't have support.
And so it's just like,
it's gone.
People basically just threw $1,000 away. And it kind of sucks because we are in a pandemic. It sucks to the victims, but like, you just got. Like, it happens. Like,
well, Twitter will probably do something.
But you can't do anything about Bitcoin.
Twitter can at least pay him back.
You think Twitter is going to pay people back $1,000 a piece?
It's Twitter.
No,
they got the money for it.
They don't have the money for that.
They do.
Why would a company,
because
in the middle of a recession, give money back to people?
Twitter's not feeling this recession.
Twitter is feeling this. They've done layoffs. So, and it's just like, why would a company pay you back for you making a stupid mistake?
Because it happened on their site.
That doesn't mean
and their
anything.
Site got hacked. It was shown through their site.
How much you want to bet Twitter's not going to pay them anything?
They're at least going to try to do something.
We can bet right now. Twitter is not going to pay these people anything.
Somebody's going to do something.
Nobody's going to do anything. These people just got. And it's quite unfortunate. But I will say, if you are looking to get into Bitcoin, please don't hit me up. Read Bitcoin in Black America. That is a great book. It's on, if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read that. But it talks about the power of Bitcoin and what it means to America. So just read that to become more knowledgeable about Bitcoin. That's where I have got that is where I've got a lot of my information about Bitcoin. But moving on. Diddy with Nick Cannon. So, because we both like to be employed, let me just say this right now. Diddy wants to give Nick Cannon a job. That's it. That's it. We're not talking about what happened previously. Diddy wants to give Nick Cannon a job. His quote was, "At Nick Cannon, come home to Revolt TV. Truly black owned. We got your back and love you and what you have done for the culture. We are for our people first. For us, by us. Let's go." And one thing I will say, I actually would love Nick Cannon on Revolt because I don't watch Revolt. I haven't watched Revolt since the first night it aired. And the first episode of State of the Culture. But I'm not a big Revolt fan. I'm not even a big television guy, so I don't really watch Revolt. But I do think the genius of Nick Cannon because, well, don't know if he's a genius. But
Nick Cannon, at least when it comes to business, he's been extremely effective.
Yeah.
You've seen his moves on, like, Team Nick. And just when you think about how much, because he was fired from Viacom, ABC, you think about how many of their shows are going to be affected by this.
Right. And
America's Got Talent.
Wild and Out.
Wild and Out. which is basically the only reason why people go to MTV. Right. The Masked Singer. So
that's on Fox.
Oh, well, Masked Singer, never mind. But, like, he was very much ingrained, and you can't talk trash about his work ethic because he has been able to do that. So I definitely think that Nick Cannon will be fine. I also don't think Nick Cannon... And as far as Diddy, if he can actually convince Nick Cannon to come over to Revolt TV, that is one of the biggest wins ever. Because you're getting somebody who is business-minded, who might have the contract to Wild 'N Out, and has been basically in the boardroom of Viacom ABC.
I don't think he has the IP for Wild 'N Out.
He asked for it back. He said that. But, like, just with his experience alone, he can definitely, like, make Revolt TV everything that Diddy wants it to be. Way bigger of a voice than it is now.
I think he could elevate Revolt TV to that next level. My only problem with that is that Nick Cannon already has a big voice. Diddy already has a big voice. How about instead of Diddy and Revolt putting money behind Nick Cannon, who's already a millionaire, put that money towards young journalists, towards young media professionals who really want to turn the culture, who really want to advance their careers, who really want to be like, yo, this is the new era, this is why we're here, this is why it's going to work. Same thing with Nick Cannon. What Nick Cannon needs to do, instead of trying to look for another job, he has enough resources and access to create his own and to do things on his own dime, to create his own. And then not only do we have Revolt and Nick Cannon, that's two black entities instead of just Nick Cannon on one. And hopefully what comes from that is Nick Cannon and Diddy empowering more black people to create their own. And that should be the key.
That should be it. I feel like our options now is Nick Cannon. He definitely has the resources to start his own channel, and so he might do that. But I think if Nick Cannon does come to Diddy, he can make a bigger splash and make Revolt a bigger voice just in general, which can help upgrade us. I think, in other words, what we're saying is, Diddy, you should give us a show.
I wouldn't want to work for Revolt, but I would work with Revolt, but not for Revolt.
All right, let's go to Mask.
Mask on. Mask edited. Put our mask on. At the beginning of this pandemic in March, I know I posted like an Instagram story, and I was like, "What's the first song you're gonna play when this is over?"
This ain't going in.
And I got a lot of like Mask Off by Future, and I was like, I feel that. But now, I'm a mask on type of guy. I wear my mask everywhere. As soon as I get out the car, I have my mask on. I don't take my mask off until I'm back in the car. And that's just...
Even when this is over, I'm still wearing a mask because y'all dirty.
I'm probably still going to wear a mask because people are gross and disgusting. But Walmart and Kroger will start requiring customers in U.S. stores to wear masks. And Kroger is not just the store. They also own King Soopers and I think Albertsons as well. And also on top of that, Best Buy has made it mandatory that you will have to wear a mask as well.
Yeah, it's stupid that we have to do this. It's stupid.
I do think it's stupid, but...
I think here's one of my big differences I see. Because I watch a lot of Japanese and anime and stuff. And just listening to one of my favorite podcasts, the Trash Taste podcast, they're done. Japan is done with the whole like staying inside thing. And they've lowered their numbers so much because people care about others there. Like, their government said, hey, everybody needs to wear a mask, and nobody was writing conspiracy theories about how it's a muzzle. And immediately, everybody started wearing masks. They stayed quarantined for a while, and now they're getting back to their life. And I think for me, overall, that's the thing that sucks the most about this, is that because we're stuck in America, we're having to watch all these other countries with responsible governments and people who actually listen and are actually well educated get to go back to live their life while we're stuck here with Karens who are crying.
And it's kind of like that SpongeBob meme where when Squidward is looking out the window and he's watching Patrick and SpongeBob have a good time. It's kind of like that. But once again, shout out to Walmart, shout out to Kroger, shout out to Best Buy. Actually, man, first of all, shout out to all of the stores who have been making it a mandate to wear your mask. Because I don't want to talk about corporations having compassion, but that just shows like, yo, y'all are people. Like, we kind of care about y'all. If y'all die, we won't have any more money. So please wear a mask. And everybody should wear a mask. And I feel like that's great. And I feel like this mask mandate needs to stay for at least 5 years.
Either till there's a vaccine, or if everybody can actually wear a mask and people stay home, we can lower the number of COVID cases so that we can at least get some semblance of normalcy.
For sure, for sure. Next up?
Yes. Let's do...
Okay, next up, this is on the opposite end. So, Big Tech violates facial recognition privacy laws. So, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google violated Illinois' facial recognition privacy law. In a set of new lawsuits, 2 Illinois residents argued that 3 tech giants violated state laws prohibiting the use of personal biometric data without permission. Illinois residents that their images appeared in IBM's diversity and faces database without their consent and were used to train facial recognition systems at Amazon, Microsoft, and Google's parent company, Alphabet. While all three companies are based on the West Coast, the suit accuses the tech giants of running afoul of an Illinois law known as the Biometric Information Privacy Act. The suit names Vance but seeks class action lawsuits on behalf of all similarly situated individuals. The plaintiff pair seeks to seek $5,000 per violation of the law, an injunction bearing the companies from Illinois residents' biometric identifiers, and the deconstruction of relevant facial data that's been stored. Yeah, so of course Big Tech is taking over. Did you actually Boston is it called Boston Dynamics?
Yeah.
Boston Dynamics are out of control. They have a freaking robot. No. They have a freaking robot that is doing front flips back and forth.
Didn't they just get a military contract?
And all I'm thinking is that episode of Black Mirror where robots are hunting humans. And I'm just like, this is terrible. So if you are combining Amazon, Facebook, Google's facial recognition software with a robot like Boston Dynamics, freaking front flipping robot that could probably tear your arms out, we are in for rude awakening 2030.
You know what? I saw this one tweet today and it said the first time we're going to have a conversation about whether or not robots are people and their lives exist is going to be when somebody first shoots a police robot.
You know, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, for overall, when it comes to this technology game, you always hear about, like, what's that theory? The singularity.
Right.
And I think there's really nothing that we can pretty much do because technology is going to keep just pushing itself. And overall, it's just a matter of how we come up with ways to actually control this stuff, because the problem with like facial recognition and all those and robots and technology is it's about putting in guidelines and lines and saying this is where the law is drawn, and so we need to figure out a way to do that if there is a way at all. Or just, you know what? Let the robots take over. Put me in the cloud. I don't care. I don't want to be here.
Okay, don't put me in the cloud.
Put me in the cloud.
Don't put me in the cloud. Just kill me.
Cloud time.
Just kill me. I don't want to be in the cloud. Just kill me. Just make it so that I am not living in the cloud.
Put me in the cloud.
And then I'll come back with memories from 2020, and it's 2050, and I'm be like, yo, what all happened?
Put me in the cloud.
Nah, don't. But next up,
what is this story?
Hold up, it clicked. So reigning WNBA MVP Elana Donne is more than an athlete, and I say this because Elana Donne suffers from Lyme disease. She has to take 62 pills a day to cover her to protect herself from Lyme disease and like fight it and everything. But the WNBA, But the WNBA says medical opt-out request was denied, and she either has to play this season or she forfeits her salary. And it's coming close where we're seeing athletes really taking control of their destiny and of their power, which I really like. Elana Donne, I hope that the WNBA, because you're not getting paid, well, you are getting paid, but it's not to the level where they shouldn't pay you because you have Lyme disease, which is a very serious condition, and you should be able to opt out in the middle of a pandemic to play games where there will be no fans. So I don't think that makes sense. What are your thoughts on this?
Overall, I think it's a matter of, for me, we don't need sports right now. I know people like Marcus are bored and tired and stuff, but just, we don't. America's not where it needs to be for us to justifiably be watching sports. And I think, honestly, as a country, us having to sit down and watch other countries like Korea that actually did what they were supposed to do, play sports and have fun, might be what we need to do. We might just have to do it like you do your child, where he watches all the other kids play while he sits in timeout. Because at this point, I don't know what we can do to get our country back on track. So you know what? I say, if I'm an athlete, I'm telling all of the athletes I'm not playing, and you shouldn't play. Because if they play, we're going to lose a lot of our athletes.
Right. For sure. Next up. Oh, so
speaking of losing our athletes,
about that. So in the NBA bubble, of course we have the NBA is supposed to start. I think in August. But they have all these rules and mandates. They're already in the bubble. Rudy Gobert says there's a tip line for like snitching on other players. Of course, Rudy Gobert was the first NBA player to catch the coronavirus that we know of, and he says that the hotline is petty. I feel like we're going to get more of this. We're gonna get more bickering from inside the bubble, just because of like where players are situated. We have a player like Dame Dollar, what's his name? Damian Lillard, who's in a very nice penthouse suite. We also have, if you saw Austin Rivers, when you saw Austin Rivers' IG story about LeBron's house in this bubble, and it's all his, which is rightfully so. That should be LeBron's house. LeBron should have his own house in the bubble. He is the face of the NBA. That's not surprising. So we're going to have a lot of that. One of the things I'm actually concerned with is the eating habits of the players, just because they, like, from the videos that I've seen, it's been a lot of junk food. It's been a lot of just candy and starch, and that's not very good. And also we have like players' health to worry about. Not only are they going to get they may get sick from the virus, but also just natural health injuries and not being in game shape on time. So stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think the bubble is a good idea. What do you feel about the bubble?
It's not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. Overall, I think it's not gonna work. You're asking a bunch of millionaires and young men to stay in an enclosed area for several weeks to play a game.
And it's actually kind of crazy because Spencer Dinwiddie of the New York Nets Brooklyn next, my mistake. He said there's 4 rules for the bubble. He said number 1, don't go out to get food. Number 2, don't bring out LA work to the bubble, which is the LA girls. Number 3, I forgot the rest. But yeah, so of course you're gonna have like horny 20-year-olds trying to sneak their girls in and stuff like that. And that's just not the right thing to do.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. We're gonna lose a lot of players, and we're
not gonna lose a lot of players.
We're gonna lose a lot.
I feel like players are gonna get sick, but I wouldn't say lose them.
Okay.
Just because that's looking at it in the worst case scenario, but
because we have to look at this year. Look at the year.
See, but you're basing it on the year, not just the experience. There hasn't been an NBA player to die from COVID yet. James Harden had it. Russell Westbrook had it. Rudy Gobert had it. Donovan Mitchell has it. They're all still here.
But now it's not just the players. It's everybody in the bubble. It's the coaches. It's the people who are supporting.
But they won't even have the full coaching staff there. See what I'm saying?
But there's still coaches there. There's still people there taking care of the players.
But we'll see. I think I wouldn't want to say anybody's going to die just because I don't want to put that energy into the atmosphere. Just because it's like, oh, this person's gonna die. It's like, oh,
you put it out there. Big risk over absolutely nothing.
See, we're not doing the risk. It's not us doing the risk.
It's the fans of basketball that are gonna tune in to watch these bubble games and didn't tell the NBA to shut up and just wait for this to be over.
I am actually on the side of sports not coming back at all. Like, I am definitely on that side. Like, I am full on support of athletes shutting it all the way down until it's all the way safe. But again, I understand why athletes are playing. They have money to make. Like, you can't just sit without a job for 6 months. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, what can you, like, let's say, for you example, let's say you stop teaching and you're not making money for 6 months. Do you have enough, like, money for 6 months? And then when people are on the outside looking in, they're saying, no, just stop until it's all safe. And it's like, I gotta go to work, I gotta eat, I gotta provide for my family. And it's the same with like people who work at King Supers. It's like, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but of course you gotta go to work because you gotta eat.
But my problem with this is the NBA has the money.
But here's the thing, the way the league is set up, all the players don't have the money.
No, so I'm not talking about the players, I'm talking about the league as a whole.
But here, the way the league is set up, it's like, you can't say the league as a whole because it's a whole lot of puzzle pieces in there. So that's why you can't just say, okay, let's just be realistic. No companies are like, hey, let's take a year off and not do anything.
But
that doesn't make sense. Like, that literally doesn't make sense. You can't just say, okay, we're going to put the players first. We're not going to do anything. That doesn't make sense at all.
But I feel like they could have figured out something else other than, hey, why don't we risk everybody? Okay, and aren't they in Florida?
They are in Florida, but here's the thing.
They're in the epicenter of the pandemic in a bubble.
Okay, but here's the thing. So, okay, let's just go with, okay, they shut off all operations. That means they lose their TV deal, which is like $1 billion. So, no money coming in from that. No money coming in for advertising. What are they going to do in the meantime? Just collect debt?
Reruns.
You can't do reruns when players don't get paid off of reruns. The players aren't getting paid off of reruns. And how does reruns work? Because let's say a player who's on that team was injured during that game that was played. Are they going to get paid? Or are they not going to get paid? See, you can't just be like, shut it down. Because no company can shut it down.
So what you're saying is sports shouldn't come back, but they have to come back.
Yeah, they have to, because that's their product. Okay, let's say you're an educator. If they're just like, you know what, it's too crazy, we're just gonna shut it down. Not even virtual teach. We're just gonna shut it down. Y'all be good until this is over with. We don't know when this is gonna be over, but we're just gonna shut it down. And a month passes by, no work. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years. Are you prepared to survive for 2 to 3 years without a salary? Nobody is.
What I'm saying, Nobody is, but what I'm saying is they're doing this in the worst possible way.
Okay.
They made a bubble in the epicenter of a pandemic to risk the lives.
When they started it, it wasn't the epicenter. And you gotta think, everybody who's in the bubble, they're negative. So
but the problem is they are trying to keep a bunch of people with a lot of money and a lot of energy who aren't used to being locked in a bubble.
That's where discipline comes in. That's basically, but you can't, like, your alternative is basically for them to do nothing. Like, you haven't given a good alternative.
My alternative is they should figure out something else. You can do.
But what's the something else? Like, you can't.
They can do 2K tournaments. They could run.
You can't.
A lot of those bigger stars, they have basketball courts.
Okay.
They can run small games with their families.
No.
They could do house versions of
Why
it.
would you pay? Okay. Why would you pay to see LeBron James play basketball with his kids? That makes no sense.
I'm talking about smaller versions of a bubble, not a full production.
They're not doing a full production. It's literally gonna be the players, the coach, and the ref. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like, you're acting like they're gonna do a full blown stadium. Actually, have you been seeing the Rockies games?
No.
So the Rockies games, it's been the players, in the media that's like upstairs in the press box, and that's it. Like, it's not a full blown production. Like, there's hardly any camera crews there, and I think that is what the NBA is gonna do.
People are still gonna get sick.
But you haven't given a good alternative.
Again, you're acting like people are gonna appreciate this as much as they would a regular game.
They will, because they're still playing. But you're acting like, okay, shut it down, figure something out. It's been since March since they shut it down. They figured something else out. And you can't say, no, this is a bad idea, shut it down again. And it's like, okay, people have already lost money. You want them to lose more money. And it's like, you got to think, the LeBrons, the Stephs, the Westbrooks, they're going to be fine. But the players who are making like 60,000, 50,000 league minimum, the 100,000 players, they're not going to be fine. And so that's where it has to be. Just like, you can't just say shut it down because they're making a lot of money. A lot of those players aren't making a lot of money, and they have to be there. And it's not even a full league there. It's only like 12 teams.
We'll see how it is, and when it turns out bad, I'll be here with my smile.
So you are going to be happy with the death of black men. Just say that.
I'm here because we're risking these men's lives over a game. A game. That's my line. I'm saying we're risking these men's lives over a game.
Look,
over a game.
Just say
over a game.
Look, just say that
over a game.
Just say that you hate black men. All right.
Oh, please.
That's what we're at.
Oh, please.
You would rather see a black man die than actually succeed.
No, that's what you're saying, because you're risking their lives for them to play a game.
That's what you're saying. You would rather see a black man go. No. This is what you're saying. Your alternatives are for a black man to go hungry or a black man to die. You have no in between. No, okay, take it easy. Maybe y'all can work something out. It's either all money in or no money out. There has to be middle.
I'm saying we're risking people's lives over a game.
Okay, but you
objectively we're risking people's lives over a game.
See,
and that was their only solution.
But you're acting like it's a game. That's their job, Morgan. They are employees. They work. That is what they went to school for. They have studied that their whole life. So let's say you are a teacher, you are an educator of students. You, a person since first grade to graduating college, you've been training for this your whole life. You finally get into the classroom and you're like, okay, here's Rich, you're gonna get sick. Shut it down, you're not getting paid, we'll see you later. How's that? You're like, okay, what am I supposed to do in the meantime? And you're paid, and this is what you was trained to do. What are you gonna do in the meantime?
I feel like the league could have figured out something.
They did figure something out and they're doing it now. But you're just saying, no, it's all bad, but it's like, okay, you're trying to reduce it to a game. That's their job. Like, it's not a game to them. It's a game to you and I because we are spectators. We are observers to them, that is their they are full-time employees with healthcare, with benefits.
Okay.
With life insurance.
Have fun supporting that. I will not.
You don't watch sports anyway.
I know. And I still will continue to do that.
Okay, but you're acting like it's very it's just it's a good thing to quit. Like they could just quit it.
I'd rather they have gone to a team house model.
What's a team house model?
Like what the esports did.
Okay, esports, you cannot do esports.
I'm saying what they could have done is instead of bringing in multiple teams.
So, okay. So, no. This is what you're saying. So, instead of bringing multiple teams, let's say the Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks. You want them to get on a plane, fly to the team house, they play a game, then that team flies back out to Milwaukee.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So what
Let
are you
me
saying?
explain it. They could have made this way more fun. You pick a team house.
Okay, pick a team house.
Pick maybe couple teams. Maybe
Right.
a couple players, couple of young bucks, some of the new ones.
No, you have to bring the whole team.
Okay, bring all the whole team. Bring the
So
whole
that's
team.
12 players apiece, so that's 24 people.
And there's like a hotel. Pick a hotel instead of a team house. They pick a hotel. They stay quarantined for a while. Quarantine lifts. And then you use those players for the games.
So you want the same two teams playing each other? Like,
I'm not saying you use the same two teams.
How does that work?
Marcus, let me explain. You could mix it up each night. It'd be different teams.
So you want different teams to.
It'd be just like an all-star game, except you pick two teams.
So you want different teams.
It'd be so much more interesting.
So okay, so let me hit. So this is what you're saying. You want different teams to fly in to the same hotel, play a game, have other teams fly into the same hotel.
Not the same hotel.
So this is what you're saying. But these teams aren't making the same revenue that they're normally making because you gotta think they're not having fans.
Even with the bubble model, they're not having fans.
Okay, but what you're suggesting is costing more money.
I'm talking about limiting as many people as possible to this bubble.
They are limiting. There's only like 12 teams there, Morgan. Like you act like it's the whole league in Orlando. No, it's literally like 12 teams. They're all in the bubble and they're stayed there. And that's like what you're suggesting. You want different teams, so you want the teams to pay to fly them out to different hotels that the league has to rent out. Like that doesn't make sense. Like that's just like a joke that wouldn't happen.
It could definitely.
It could not happen.
Okay, when they get
It's not even fiscally right.
This isn't fiscally right. They're all in a bubble.
They're all in the same place, and
but all it takes is for one of them to get sick, and the whole experiment goes away.
But they test every day, and the person who gets sick, they quarantine. So that's what I'm saying. How it doesn't make sense. What's the next topic?
Just more COVID.
We are okay. Oh. Lastly, the United States has failed COVID. If you've been listening, of course, we've been talking about COVID. There have been spikes. We talked about this at the very start of the podcast, but we've talked about spikes in Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Los Angeles. How do you feel about this?
Just is what we expected. America hasn't been doing what they should have been doing when it comes to this quarantine, and now we're stuck.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we're in for a heavy winter, fall season.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful.
What's actually worse is that the White House was like, the CDC, don't trust them. Give us the numbers, and we'll tell y'all what's good. And it's like,
oh yeah, we're never getting actual numbers.
We're probably going to be cured of COVID within the next month. Like, we're going to have 0 new cases, 0 deaths within the next month, thanks to this new mandate that the White House is doing, where they're going to be the ones collecting COVID numbers instead of the CDC. And it's kind of weird because the CDC is there to guide the White House, but I feel like, once again, we're in this weird space where everything is politicized. And so it's like the CDC is the enemy.
What's happening is COVID has been hurting the economy, and it's making Trump look bad. Trump says, give me the numbers. He's going to take the numbers, fudge them out, say we're cure of COVID, use those numbers to open up the entire economy, everything. Mass people are about to get sick. Everything's about to go wrong, but it'll look good for about 3, maybe 2 weeks in November. He wins again. Then
that's the thing. I don't think he wins in November.
I don't have faith in this. Because they said the same thing with Hillary Clinton.
Okay, but the only thing, Hillary was a woman, and America is really, really sexist. But if like the polls today, it has Biden wiping Trump out by like 15 points, and that hasn't been seen since like 1948. Is it 1948 or 68? And those numbers haven't been seen since then. So it's just like, wow, like it will take. Like, from just, like, what the polling says, it will take a massive, like, drastic change for Biden to really just, like, fumble this. Like, and I don't know what it could be, like.
I don't know.
Because American leadership's response to COVID has been so disastrous that's what's really been tanking their campaign, and it's like they don't have anything to run on, and like because normally incumbent presidents run on like their record and what they've achieved within the past 4 years, but when you truly look at what Donald Trump has accomplished in his 4 years as president, he hasn't really done a lot,
and everything he did was practically wiped out by COVID. And
it's not even that too, like even like the economic gains he quote unquote made, even like the tax break that he made has been wiped out. The ICE and the detention and like ramping that up, I don't want to say that's been wiped out, but that's been like heavily criticized. The defunding the police, he basically has had a politicized war on his hands, and he has been fumbling it every step of the way. And
but see, I think that's part of the problem with Trump in general. Is as a politician, he only won by making everything political. And so when you turn everything political, when you end up on the wrong side, you're always going to be the bad guy. Because if Trump hadn't made COVID political, he would have been fine.
Yeah.
He would have, if he had just been like, hey guys, I messed up with this. We're going to work with CDC. Everybody put on their masks. And as from day one, had been like not trying to make this political, he definitely would have been looking way better. He would have gotten a second term. If he had done COVID right, he would have got a second term.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's about it. Good pod today. Once again, you can follow me on all social media platforms at FlowMyHero. Follow Meta at MetroMeta26. Make sure you're following the brand on all social media platforms at 26 and Glencoe. Follow us on YouTube at 26 and Glencoe Media Network. And until next time, peace.
All right, everybody. Y'all know who it is, Metro Meta and
at One Marcus Flowers.
And we'd like to thank you for watching and listening to our content. We'd like to thank you even more if you leave a like, a comment,
subscribe. Definitely subscribe. We need that. Subscribe, subscription.
Hey, don't forget to share with all your friends and tell us how you feel.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend that you got it from 26 and Glencoe Media Network.
Keep it real.